Hi, welcome to another DrumWise Meets, and today I'm here with Luke Hughes. Hi Luke.
Hey Tom, how you doing?
So my first question for you today, Luke, is what age did you get into drums and what bands or artists inspired you?
Right, yeah, so I think I was about six when I first started getting into it, and it was mainly from I was watching Top of the Pops, and I remember just watching it, and there was like this annoys me about the story that I don't know who the drummer was, but I remember watching this drummer. I remember seeing the drum kit. He had like this kind of like red wine finish, and it was like a certain angle. I was just watching him play, and I think that was it for me. That's what got me into it. Um, but yeah, it just annoys me that I don't know who it was this day. But yeah, that was the start, and then sort of like I feel like I got into music and drums before I kind of got into like bands, if that makes any sense at all. I didn't actually have any kind of like drumming heroes probably for like I don't know 2 or 3 years into it. I think I was just kind of like I was still at the age where like I was into Spice Girls and I was a young kid, so pop music at that time was quite big. So I feel like I was into music in that sense, and then I was just into drums, and then it got to a point where those two worlds kind of collided together. Um, Probably the moment for that was so being a Welshman, we were Manic Street Preachers was like a big influence, and at that age, I think they had a song called "You Stole the Sun from My Heart," and I don't know if you know that song, but it's like big guitars, and I remember being like in the school disco, and they play all Spice Girls, that's Club Seven, stuff like that, and then they put this one song on. It was like now 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 now. And I think again that was another moment for me. It was like, okay, I found what I really like, which is like big guitars, guitar music, big drums, and I think that kind of then took me onto my next path. I think, but yeah, so about six, yeah.
Okay, excellent. And from that, what was your first drum kit that you can remember? Was it inspired by the one you saw on Top of the Pops at all?
Wow. So it actually wasn't, but I've only just thought about this now. You've just said it. It was the same finish, but I don't.
Ah,
It wasn't. It was that like sort of like that wine red, but
yeah.
I don't think that was deliberate. It was. I remember the moment. So I had it for Christmas from my parents. Super lucky. And I remember, yeah, just coming down and sort of like, obviously it was all set up. They set it up, to the best they could. Floor time was a bit kind of like that, and everything was all a bit in the wrong place, but fine. And I remember because it being obviously so big, they tried to wrap it, but they just ended up putting kind of just like the sheets of paper over it. Um, so it was one of those things. I kind of like went into the room and I saw I could just see instantly what it was. I knew what it was. I was so excited, and then ripped off the paper, and it was I think it was a Dixon kit. I remember it was on the logo head said Tempo by Dixon.
Mm,
So it must have been their kind of like beginner range.
yeah.
But yeah, like two up, one down. I can't remember the sizes. Must have been, I think it was like 12, 13, 16. 14 by probably 5.5 snare.
Mm.
Um, and then yeah, hats and this ride crash, which was by a brand called Camber. I don't know if it came with a kit or not, but it was like this Camber ride.
Yeah.
I kept that for a long time and actually sounded pretty decent.
Yeah.
But
Nice.
yeah, that was my.
So you kept the ride for a long time. Did you keep the kit?
I did. I think. I mean, I'll be honest. My sometimes my memory's not that great. Trying to think back, like what happened to that kit? I think we ended up giving it away
Hmm.
because I then had a new kit. Um, but it's one of those ones. I definitely remember I kept the snare for a while, even though like this, it sounded flipping horrible. Um, but I definitely remember giving that away to someone, a friend of mine from the same town I grew up in. They were learning, so I was like, "Oh, I'll take the snare." Uh, and I know they got some great enjoyment out of it and some good use, but I'm kind of like, oh, I wish I did hold on to that snare. It's my first ever snare drum, but yeah, but yeah, that was the kit. But yeah, I only just thought about it that it was the same finish.
There you go.
So yeah, I must have been super elated when I saw that kit. That Christmas morning.
Yeah, I mean, I remember mine as well. A
What was yours?
Christmas present, same thing. Just yeah, coming downstairs, drum kit set up, and it's you never forget that, do you? I
No,
forget.
what a feeling.
Yeah, I forget
Yeah,
most things, but I can't forget that. That's just yeah, it's awesome.
yeah. Do you remember what it was?
Mine was a Session Pro,
Okay. Yeah. Oh
uh,
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
like a budget black
Yeah.
Session Pro, and it lasted a little while before I went to Premiere.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, a used Premiere. I think it was an XPK. I'm not
Yeah.
too sure.
Okay.
But on that note,
Hmm.
so what equipment do you use these days?
I played Premier. That was a nice follow on, wasn't it?
There we go.
Um, yeah. No, I've been playing Premier for a long time. Kind of like with them since I think about 2011 or 12, and then like full endorsement with them from 2016. So yeah, nearly 10 years in that regard. But they're great. Colin especially from Premier, they look after me so well. Great drums. Um, yeah, the kit I'm using at the moment it's like a Premier Series kit, and I generally use one up, one down on most things. I've got 12-inch, 12 by 9, and then 16 by 16. But occasionally I'll put in the 18 as well, and then also the 13, two up, two down. But yeah, that's generally what I'm at these days. But yeah, I think same as you actually. My second kit was a Premier, which was maybe the start of it. There was a Premier Cabria, and
Right.
yeah, that was the kit that kind of like took me into my first gigs, like like playing pubs and sort of like the toilet venues and stuff for the first time. I remember with that kit as well, actually like stripped the wrap off and just like varnished the shells. So that kit kind of went through some changes, but again, another one of those kits where I didn't give this one away. I think I've sold it, and I think I sold it for like 50 quid or something. Um, and it's one of those ones I'm like, oh, it was such a great kit. I wish I hadn't have sold that. I should have kept that one, but we move.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so Premier drums. Yeah, I've got a really nice new snare actually from Premier. They've just put out like their first ever like aluminium snare, which is I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this because I don't think it's actually true. But in my world, it's kind of like loosely modelled on like an acrylite.
Mm.
It definitely gives that same sound, and you get those same kind of like the variety and what you can get from that drum. I'm finding in this new one. So I've recently got one of those from them, and I love it. It's flipping great.
Mm.
Yeah, so Premier is what I'm at. And then cymbals, I'm with Zildjian. Again, equally as good. I love the K range. I tend to go for like sort of like the bigger, darker, washy cymbals. And then heads Remo, generally coated ambassadors, just work for me. I think you sort of like that's probably like where I started. I think with Remo was coated ambassadors, and you kind of like yeah, I've definitely experimented a little bit trying different heads, but I'm just like, nah, stick with what you know. I feel like I can get good sounds out of those, and if it ain't broke type thing. And then sticks, Vic Firth, 85As is what I use with those.
Good stuff. Cool. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, with Premiere, like kind of what's happened over the years because
Yeah,
it's been kind of they're there, then they're not, then they're back again. At
it's been a
least, at
lot.
least to
Yeah,
my mind, maybe I've got that wrong, but
no, you're not wrong at all. Yeah, they've definitely had some hardships, I think, over the years. One being so George Frederick, who was the arts relations amazing guy. He was there when I kind of first got on board. He decided to move to Natal, and I think a lot went with him at that time. Because he's a great guy, and I think like a lot of people had so much trust in him, and just you know, so I completely appreciate that. And then I think this was just before British Drum Company was born, uh, who came from Keith. So Keith was the chief drum builder for Premier, and then he left and started British Drum Company, which a lot of people again went with him. So yeah, so it's Premier's definitely had some ups and downs over the years, but I definitely feel very loyal to them because they've been so great to me, and you know they still make amazing drums. I'll be honest, like the amount of times I do get my kit up in a venue and someone said those drums sound great, you know the toms sound brilliant, and I'm like they really do, and I'm you know not in a boastful way. I'm just like they really do sound great those drums. So yeah, so I get a lot of compliments about them,
Mm.
but yeah, they've had a journey for sure.
Yeah.
You know they're 100 years old now. That company, you know.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's what you've said is really important these days because a lot of people are kind of chasing endorsements and, you know, they, I think they kind of got the wrong idea about endorsements. I don't want to go too deep on this, but yeah, like playing stuff that you believe in and that you know, every time you play it, you're like, I actually love this thing, whatever it is, a
yeah.
snare, a cymbal, a kit, some sticks. Yeah, I think there's something to be said for that. Just how you spoke about Premiere, then it's great.
Mm.
Now, this next question, some people have said is really tricky. It's kind of meant to be, and there isn't a right answer here. So answer it as you will. If you had to pick just one, who would be your all-time favorite drummer?
Yeah, yeah, it's a hard one, isn't it? That. Yeah, I mean, there's loads for me, and I think I've sort of like I've grown up with drums. You know, sometimes that changes as well. You know, you kind of like music. You know, like bands, artists, or anything. You know, you kind of get into something and you're there for quite a bit, and then you find something else new and you move. So it changes a lot. Like I think I gravitate towards players who have a lot of groove but have a big sort of like energy behind them. Like guys like Jeremy Stacey, I love his playing. Like Vic Rizzo, Kenny Aronoff, you know, Gads. Yeah, there's a lot. But I think if I had to say one, I would probably say there's a guy called Sean Pelton, who's just my yeah. I think it's fair to say he's a huge influence on me and has been for a long time. Yeah, there's something about the way he plays that just really speaks to me. But I first saw him play. I think it was like he did like a Modern Drummer Festival thing, and it was like on a DVD. I think it was like 2010 or 2013. There's actually two. I think yeah, I can't remember which one I saw first, but it was one of those ones. And this is, you know, lucky sort of. I guess this was a YouTube thing actually. I think I saw it on YouTube, and I was just blown away. Just you know, watched like all the clips from that Modern Drummer Festival. Then he came on, and I was just like, wow. Just his approach to the instrument, just yeah, I just took me somewhere else. And then I kind of deep dove into everything that he's done. He's played on everything, and he's been the house drummer for Saturday Night Live for like 30 plus years since 1992. But yeah, I'd have to say he's probably my favorite. I was lucky enough to meet him last year. So we were away. We were touring in America, and we had a day off in New York. And I know he plays a lot at the oh god, where was it? The Bitter End. There's a place called the Bitter End, which is in like Greenwich Village, and I know that he plays there quite a lot. So I just kind of like we're on the way to New York. I was like checking out what we're going to do on our day off, and I was just like, let me just check the listings at the Bitter End. And I saw a guy, Brian Mitchell is playing. He's a guy that he plays with a lot. Amazing organ player. And then I went on to his Instagram and saw that Sean was going to be there playing. So first of all, I was like, I can't believe this. We got a day off, the night off, and he's playing there, and there's tickets available. And yeah, so I managed to get tickets. Actually, I think I booked 4 tickets, sort of like preempting that some of the other guys in the band would come with me before asking them. And I think in the morning we woke up and I was like, right, I've booked 4 tickets. Anybody wants to come, that'd be amazing. But if not, I'm going on my own, whatever, and I'll give someone else 3 tickets. But yeah, luckily they all came with me, and we went to watch him. So it was just like, yeah, sat sort of about 2 meters away from Sean watching him play. for the first time, up close, which was just mind blowing. And then yeah, got to have a nice little picture with him and a little chat afterwards as well, which is great. So I feel like that question, it's a hard question, but also an easy one for me at the same time.
So, from favourite drummers to your career, what's been the highlight of your career so far?
Okay, yeah. So again, quite another tricky one. I feel like I don't have a highlight. I was actually thinking about this question because I seen you asked this question on previous ones. And again, like I said, sometimes I can be quite forgetful, and I was sort of like scrolling my Instagram. I was like, "What have I done?" I was like, "What have I done in my career?" I was like, "I don't really know." So I was trying to remember like what kind of moments do stick out to me. But yeah, I think like to sum that up, I don't think I have a highlight. I definitely got moments. One big one was probably doing, or was definitely doing Top of the Pops. This was, I think this was back in 2016. That was with Tom Waddell. And I know it's a mime thing and it's just TV, but it's like, that was, like I said earlier, that's how I started. It was Top of the Pops that kind of got me into the whole thing. So to go and do that was amazing, especially because I can't remember the year it was, but it got taken off the air. They'd finished the whole thing. So I remember, when would that be? Maybe like 2010 or earlier. I think they stopped doing that show.
Mm.
But I remember at that point I was like, well, that's it then. I'll never get to do Top of the Pops. Well, my dream's over. And then, however many years later, they brought it back, by just doing like New Year's Eve and Christmas Eve specials, I think it was, Christmas Day special. So yeah, getting to do that was probably a big moment for me. And then I did it again a few years later with Lewis Capaldi, which was amazing.
Mm.
And then actually in that same week with Lewis, we did Abbey Road. So it was like going to Abbey Road for the first time. We did like a live session then. So that was a big moment for me. That was definitely for Freddie Sheed on that. But yeah, that's a big moment for me, getting to do Abbey Road and Top of the Pops in the same week. Um, yeah, a few other ones. Doing Japan for the first time, Fuji Rocks. That was with Tom Adele again. That was another nice moment that same year, sort of like touring America for the first time and doing the American TVs. Yeah, big highlight. And then I was lucky to do that tour America again last year with JP Cooper. So yeah, another nice moment. So yeah, a few kind of like, yeah, not one highlight, but definitely some nice moments, I think.
From career highlights to maybe the other end of the scale here,
Mm-hmm.
have you ever had anything go wrong on stage that you've had to recover from? And, the more humorous it is, the better.
Oh yeah, no, stuff's gone wrong for sure. I'll be honest, a lot of them I blocked them out, memory wise. I'm that's happened. I'm not thinking about that ever again. But there is, yeah, there's one that springs to mind. I was doing, we were playing the Ziggo Dome arena in Amsterdam with a band called Amber Run, and we were supporting someone. I think it was a Dutch band actually. Can't remember the name. But so they've got this song. I think it was Carousel was the song. But there's a moment, and this was around at the time where I was like experimenting with my bass drum pedal a little bit in terms of like the slackness of it, and I kind of realized that I quite like having it really slack, where it's like it's so floppy like that. And I was like, I don't know, I feel like I quite like the control here. So I was experimenting with that, and on that gig, so I think it was like first song in, it was like so slack where we got to the middle eight where the kind of like everything breaks out and it's just like I think it's just vocals and guitar and the pedal, like the sort of like hook that hooks over the that kind of like came off, so the pedal just flopped back, and I was like, okay, well I've got I don't know 8 bars or something to get it back on. So there's me, with a click in my ears, feel like it's a countdown. I'm there trying to push it back on, trying to. And it wasn't a hero moment. It wasn't like, oh, I've made it, bang, straight in. It didn't happen. I couldn't get it on in time, So the whole thing, I think it like builds up this like, so like vocals on guitar, and then it's like, 1, 2, 3, 4, chorus kind of thing. So everyone was kind of building up, and I was just down trying to fix this pedal. They come in, so I came in maybe like 2 bars later. So I'm kind of like, you could get away with that. You could kind of think it's intentional for there to be no drums for the first bar or two.
Yeah.
But that was one, yeah. Like that was a horrible moment, sort of, arena gig, and just I don't know. You feel like you're quite on the spotlight, especially if there's any screens and stuff, and there's just me just trying to like fix my pedal. Um, yeah, that was not fun. And then I've definitely had moments where um, like my pack started. I did one where I think I was in Switzerland with Catherine McGrath, and I was on wireless pack, and as you do before you go on, everyone checks their batteries, monitor engine, like cool, all good, full battery, and went on first song, pack dies. Like how? Like we're like, how did that happen? It just went. Um, so that's not fun when that happens. And I think I've had it before. Maybe I've like kind of been playing and stood up a bit and like the pack's ripped out. So I think when that happens, and I'm sure that's probably quite a common one.
Mm.
I think if you're a drummer and you're playing with track and click, if you lose that click for a second, oh, it's not
Yeah,
fun. It's not
yeah,
fun. But with that
yes,
particular one, it was like pack completely dies. It was just like kill the track. I remember just sort of like I thought I could kind of hear it through the PA and could kind of carry on. Um, and then it got to a point where everyone was looking around because they didn't know what happened, and they were like, "What's good?" And I was like, "Okay, so we are going out here, so kill it and play." Yeah, um, yeah, yeah. A few things have happened like that over the years. Some stuff that's not me directly, but we've done things where maybe like we've started the tracks there and we've all come in a different key or something. Confusion with like I think I've had things where I've like started the wrong track. A lot of traffic stuff really, but
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I think
I try to forget about the nightmares, but they happen. They do happen. To everyone. Well, maybe not.
they very much do, especially when you start involving technology.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's my. When people say like, do you get nervous before a gig? Like that's probably my big thing of nerves. If I'm sort of like triggering the playback and I'm kind of involved in that world, that's probably where the most of my nerves go because I'm like, I don't know, technology and
Mm.
yeah, that scares me the most, I think.
So, so my next, let's just say, yeah, yeah. So my next question for you here is one that's kind of based around working for lots of different artists because I know that's something that you've done in your career. So
Mm-hmm.
when you first get a gig with a new artist, how do you learn the songs? Generally speaking, do you learn them by ear, or do you write them out, or do you have a different kind of system, or do they send you a lovely book with all the music in it for you to read through?
Yeah, I mean everyone's different actually. I think when you say like a nice, lovely book to read through, definitely don't get that. But I think we get the more modern equivalent where like someone might send like an Ableton session, and you've got like here's all the instruments, and you can solo the guitar if you want to, and just play along to that, or you can mute the drums, play along with everything, play along to the track. Here's the click. Um, I've definitely had that, which is really helpful. And then sometimes you just get a Spotify link or something like that, which is obviously is fine, but like you always worry that like okay, well, the live version are they exactly as the record here, or is there like a doubled chorus or like a big intro, something that no one's told me about? So it does vary with what you get, but I think my approach to it it's definitely it does change a lot. I think I definitely try to experiment with it to try and find the quickest way of doing it. I think that's what I figured recently is like the quicker I can learn them, the better. Um, so I think my approach now, I think what I've always done is like I like to I like to chart them out, but the first time I hear them is when I'm charting them out. So I'll put the earphones in, I'll go, right, here we go, track one, and I'll just kind of like chart it at the same time. But it's only in the last week or so I've actually decided I think it's better to try and get them in your ears as quick as possible, and then chart them when you do have that minute to sit down, as opposed to just waiting, because it's kind of like time lost, isn't it? In my opinion now. So yeah, I think now I try to just like get on ears on it as quick as I can, and just listen whenever I can, wherever I am. And then I will always chart them down. I think even if I'm confident with it in the structure, I think I'll always chart it. So like if we're in rehearsals or wherever we are, I always have that print of it, Um, you know, so there's no kind of like self doubt um, or if I need to make obviously changes, edits, if the MD or whoever's saying, can we do this? I can literally write it there and it's on paper or iPad. Um, yeah, so I've tried to experiment with trying to find the quickest way to do things. I don't know. Do you know Ollie Hardin?
Yeah, I
Great
do.
drummer. So I like his approach. I'm not sure if he still does it, but I tried this once. He said that he just has like a 4 listen rule,
Hmm.
where he just goes, right, I'll just listen to one song 4 times, and that'll be it, and that's it then, and it's in. You force it in within 4 songs.
Hmm.
I hope I've got that right. I mean, he might hear me saying this and might be like, that's not what I do at all, but I remember trying that approach, and I think it did work. And I was like, that's a cool way of doing it. Just going
Hmm.
right, 4 songs, and
Hmm.
then it's in. Move on to
Hmm.
the next song. Four
Yeah,
songs, and it's in.
yeah.
And then you literally just it's there and not there on the pad. Because you can rely on that a little bit too much, I think, and it's then moving away from that is the next step. But
Yeah, I think a lot of people do that. Well, that transcribe stuff while listening and then commit it to memory.
yeah,
Um, I think
yeah, that's
that's
generally what happens, isn't it? And probably from a natural sense, the more you do it, then yeah, you don't need that, even though sometimes people might even have it there as a backup, but it's not
yeah.
needed. But if you can get it to memory straight away, that is a nice idea.
Now, what I'm going to do with you here today with this interview is I'm going to ask you a new question.
Okay,
So this has never been asked before.
all
Okay, this
right,
is
I'm scared.
brand new question for DrumWise Meets, and that question is.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not very good on the spot, by the way.
So, what's the most important thing you've ever learned? Now, that doesn't specifically have to be a paradiddle.
Yeah,
It could be as long as it's related to our instrument, not the alphabet. But
yeah.
yeah,
Um, Probably not overplaying. I think, and I'm stemming this back to a long time ago. I think like probably the basics being the best things I've ever learned. Like don't overplay when it's not needed. Be nice. I think all those general kind of things. I think they're the standard things that you should know, and what I learned early on, and kind of you take that through your career. I think. Yeah, I
cool.
think yes, serving the music and
Hmm.
just that transition from being like a teenage drummer to kind
Yeah,
of using your ears and listening to what's going on around you. I think.
and I think it's very important these days as somebody that teaches a lot of teenage drummers because, of course, with the social media that's out there now,
Yeah.
a lot
Sorry, I
of
didn't mean
people.
I didn't mean to pigeonhole teenage drummers there for a second. I
No,
was thinking about myself as a teenager, just going.
yeah, no, but it's true because they're influenced by TikTok and Instagram and stuff, and of course on those platforms there's some great stuff, but there's also some severe overplaying.
100%. But it's exciting to watch, and I get that.
Yeah,
When you're especially at that age, it's like it's exciting, and you're like, wow, I wish I could do that. It's
yeah.
so it's almost like rite of passage.
Moving away from drums slightly here,
Hmm.
what are your hobbies away from drumming?
I wish I had more. And I'll be honest, this has been something I've actually been trying to find for like the last year or two. I'm like, I need a hobby. I need something else to put my mind and focus in. But I think the short story to it is that I actually don't really have time for a hobby. I think like if I'm working, I'm out working. If I'm at home, I've got little kids, and like that takes time. And yeah, I'm actually like if I decided I wanted to go out and play golf on a Saturday morning when I'm off, I think I'd probably get in trouble. I'm not sure. No, yeah, I haven't really got a hobby per se. I do want one. I do want something else to put some interest in. But I love cooking. I love going out with friends, enjoying a beer. I know a lot of these aren't hobbies; they're just general life things. But those things kind of
Hmm.
yeah. I mean, something like cooking, yeah, just put
Yeah,
my focus in. I'm just literally thinking about that when I'm
yeah.
doing it.
Cooking's great. I enjoy cooking. So I'd class it as a hobby. It's all good.
Yeah,
Um,
but it's football. I wish I had football as a hobby,
yeah.
but I've just never really been into it. And I know
No.
like friends who are, and you know friends who like they go and play five-a-side and stuff. I'm like, I wish I could do that. One for the exercise,
Mm.
and second of all, just like it's just a good thing to be into. You know, that kind of thing. I was just like, I wish I was into football, but I'm just
But
kind of
isn't
not.
it funny though? Because now you're saying, "Oh, not really." Don't really have hobbies as such. But if I asked, a teenage you what your hobby was, of course it would have been playing drums. But
Yeah, yeah,
that that's now, of course, your job. So people don't really class that as a hobby. But I think
no,
that it can still be one because we are.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still yeah, it's my job, but it's still my passion, and that's probably why I don't have any other hobbies because I
Mm,
probably don't need one.
mm.
Although I do want one, but I'm kind of like I love what I do, and um, you know, yeah, we're lucky to get to do my passion or my first hobby
Yeah.
as a job. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned cooking, slightly
Hmm.
related to that, and obviously you've told me that you've watched some of these before, so you know what's coming.
Just the
Um,
biscuit one.
it's the biscuit question.
Okay.
Exactly. So, what's your favourite biscuit?
Malted milk. Next question.
Right, done. So, if
Yeah,
you could get
malted milk. Just because it's biscuit of the house at the moment, and it has
right,
been for the past year or so. Just nice standards, you know, no frills to it. Good size, very good for dunking. It does what you need from a biscuit.
right,
Personally,
are these?
I do like a Maryland chocolate chip cookie as well.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
With the malted milk, are they the sort of plain ones or the ones with the chocolate coating on them?
plain.
Okay.
I don't like the chocolate ones.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
and my reason for is because if I'm having a biscuit, I am dunking it, and I know that might have been your next question potentially, but
Nice. You already said that it was a dunker, so that's cool.
so
Yeah.
I'm dunking it, and I know, and I normally dunk it in coffee.
Oh,
So
right.
if you're dunking a chocolate malted milk, it goes all melted, and
Yeah.
it's not for me. Some people would love that, I get that, fine, but no, me, chocolate's got to be hard. Yeah.
Right. Dunking it in coffee
Hang
as
on,
well.
sorry, curveball. If I'm dunking it in milk, which is sometimes something I will often do,
Mm.
then a chocolate malted milk would be definitely welcomed. So there is a place for it, but you know,
Okay.
you said what's the biscuit, and so it's got to be a
Yeah.
plain malted
Yeah,
milk. That's
yeah.
why I go with my first answer.
And the old Maryland ones, have you tried those? I think they're new ones. I think they're called switches or something.
Oh
So
no.
it's Maryland, but it's like two biscuits and there's like chocolate between.
Oh what
Um,
like two cookies?
yeah,
Oh wow. No, I
yeah.
haven't.
I think they're called like S-Witch or something. Yeah. I'll
Okay.
uh, I'll
Wow. I
send you a
know I'm gonna
photo.
get some idea.
We've got some in the cupboard.
Have you?
I'll send you a picture.
Yeah, yeah. Send me a link.
They're good
I'll
dunkers.
multiply.
They're good
Are they?
dunkers.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm definitely gonna get some of those today. That's the rest of the yeah.
Now we're already on to our final question, believe it or not, and we're kind of going back to serious drummy related questions here. If you could give one piece of advice to your younger self, so when you first started playing, or in the early days, what would that advice be?
Sure. Yeah, I was actually thinking about this question because again, I saw you'd asked this before. And I first thought it was like it's quite hard to answer because I was thinking like the question of like what advice would you give? That's fine, you know, sort of the classic, you know, be nice, listen, you know, practice, all that stuff. But advice to my younger self, I think that's such a harder question.
Hmm.
But actually, having really thought about it, I think the main one would be like everybody's journey is different. You know, don't beat yourself up if you're not following someone else's timeline because I think you get so roped into like, oh, this person is doing this at this age, or I'm this age, or you know, wherever it is on the scale. And I think you get sort of dragged into feeling that you're not doing things right, or I don't know. I think basically, yeah, like I think that's the main thing I thought for me. It's like to say like everybody's journey is different. You'll have yours, and you'll have do certain things in your career at certain different times to someone else. Um, and I think speaking from a career sense, it's full of ups and downs, and I think just be prepared for that, because I think that's something that you may not know at sort of like a younger age, or like when you're just starting. It's like, I think you, especially with Instagram, you only see like the good stuff, which is a given, and it's like no one talks about the time you didn't get that gig, or the time, all these kind of little things. Things change. Yeah, maybe you might be booked on a tour and then that tour gets cancelled, and then it's rough. And um, so I think that's my. If I wanted to give advice to my younger self, I'd say it's full of ups and downs. It's not all. You're not this the whole time. You're not just. It's ups and downs. So just be prepared to ride that wave, I think.
Luke, thank you so much for spending your time with us on DrumWise Meets here today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on.
Mate, thanks for having me. Yeah, like I said, watched a few of these and you've had some absolute legends on here, so I feel very honoured to be here. So thank you very much.